professionals. Oh, hello. Hello, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Addicts podcast. We're still called that, aren't we? Yes, I believe we are. I am your host, Gareth, and I am joined this week with two of the older members of the podcast, Mr. Matt Davis.
Hello, how you doing?
Not too bad. Good to see you again. Welcome back. And Phil Lane.
Hello, good evening.
Excellent. Phil, you're sounding a bit far away tonight. Are you anywhere exotic?
No, I'm not going on holiday for another couple of weeks at the moment. I'm in Aylesbury.
Aylesbury? That sounds like it's in England.
It's in England. It's in Buckinghamshire.
Oh, I've been to Buckinghamshire. Yeah.
It's very nice.
And then, Matt, you're not in Buckinghamshire, but you are in England.
I am. I'm in Cambridgeshire.
Another shire. I'm not in a shire at all.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm very sure. Yeah. Right. So, apologies for anyone who's been trying to tune in. I've had a lot of messages over the last 6 months, asking and also begging for us to come back and do this kind of thing again because people are missing out on their news, and it seemed like an appropriate time to relaunch this, given that Mobile World Congress is currently happening over there in Spain, just down there, slightly to the left and below France. It's a big country, can't miss it. So we are here to discuss exactly what has happened. But before we do, since it's been 6 months, I thought we'd just kind of do a little bit of a catch up and see what we're using, because it has been that long. And I'll kick it off. And my daily driver is the Note 4. I still have my Nexus 10 since the Lollipop update. I have not needed to change my tablet because the Nexus 10 works well. I have my Chromebook as my daily laptop, and that's me. I survive off all of those things, and I'm very happy with them. Matt, what is your daily driver, and what else are you using?
I have my
The lower third
phone
has
6
disappeared.
Plus.
Okay.
I've disappeared. My iPhone 6 Plus? No? Okay.
Yes.
And that's really my sort of work device. And then I still use my my M8. My HTC One M9. So and that's I have them both on different networks as well. So I have one on Vodafone and I have one on EE, and that's the primary reason for switching, because Vodafone's coverage is nothing short of atrocious, and EE's is pretty decent. So that's the main reason for having two.
And they're the two most expensive networks you can be on. It's worth adding that in as well.
Is that the case? Well, I don't mind paying the money for EE because I get coverage, but the other one, if it wasn't a work device, I wouldn't be on Vodafone, that's for sure.
Fair enough. What about, do you have anything else, tablet, laptop-wise?
I've really stopped using tablets. I don't really use my iPad very much anymore. I've got an iPad Mini that comes with me, and it's in my bag the whole time. But beyond that, I don't really use it. I don't really go to it very often. I tend to use my MacBook Pro for everything that I can't do on a mobile.
Did you ever change your MacBook Pro, or are you still using the old broken, beaten up one that you've had blowing up on you from time to time?
No, I have got a new MacBook Pro. I've got a Retina MacBook Pro, which I got, I guess, a little before Christmas. The other one died a horrible, nasty death. Well, sort of. I replaced the battery, which I mentioned on the podcast, I guess, probably about a year ago. Remember, the battery expanded to be sort of like 3 times its normal thickness, and tried to break its way out of the case. So I replaced the battery, and about a month later, the replacement battery did exactly the same. So I decided it was probably a good idea to actually get rid of the machine before it probably burnt its way through pig or something. So.
Okay, well, seasoned viewers and listeners of the Mobile Tech Addicts podcast will know that Matt was one of the pioneers of the wearable technology, and I'm just noting that he, whilst he doesn't have a lower third, he also is not wearing Google Glass.
No, don't really use it very much anymore because every time I wear it out in public here, I say in this country, people give me funny looks and or offer to beat me up.
Oh, right, okay. Actual threats?
I've actually had somebody when I was wearing it on the train, not looking at anybody, using my laptop, head down, doing some work, had the Google Glass on, and just came up and said, "Are you staring at me? Are you recording?" No, I'm looking down at nobody, at my screen, and no, I'm not. And he was like, "Oh, I don't like this, and it's infringement of our rights." And I was like, "Oh, some proper nutter." So I get a lot of funny looks. So unless I'm wearing it in a private place, such as in the office or at home, I don't really use it anymore. I take it away on holiday with me and use it there, and nobody really takes any notice wearing it in the US. They seem to be fairly accepting of it, and those that do notice tend to ask you if it's a Google Glass and is it cool. That's about it. But over here, people are very distrusting of it.
Okay. No smartwatches?
No smartwatches for me. I'm waiting for the Apple Watch. I quite fancy that.
Okay, okay. All right. What about you, Phil? What are you rocking at the moment?
Daily driver is my iPhone 6 Plus. Work phone, I've got, unfortunately, a Galaxy S4. You know my feelings about Samsung. I've spoken lengthily about that in the past. Tablet, a bit like Matt, I've still got original iPad Mini. Don't use it really at all anymore. Different reasons than Matt. They're on different networks. My iPhone's on Vodafone, which, as Matt said, their coverage, apart from in central London, is atrocious. Full signal everywhere, but no bandwidth at all, ever. The iPad Mini's on EE. Excellent signal all the time. So generally, it's used as a hotspot for my iPhone on the way. But I find I can use the iPhone 6 Plus instead of a tablet on 99% of the occasions. 6 Plus really is a use it for anything device. That's about it, really.
No smartwatches or wearables?
Smartwatches, I've got a Casio G-Shock. It's not the same one I reviewed previously on the site. I've got a different one that I got off Groupon for a very, very good price. £59 off Groupon for a £200 watch, which I thought was pretty good. It's the closest thing I want to a smartwatch. I've got some interest in the Apple Watch, but I'm as a watch collector, I actually also have no interest in the Apple Watch because I don't like the design of it, like most watch enthusiasts don't. It doesn't look like a watch.
That just struck me as being interesting there, where you said as a watch collector.
Yes, I'm a watch collector. I have many, many watches. Lots of them. Well,
Okay.
less at the moment. I've currently sold a lot to replace them with. I sold several devices that did one particular function nicely and replaced them with one watch that has all of them. So, but no smart functions. One of the things I am interested in, I actually like the look of a few of the Google what's it called? Android Wear watches.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they don't work with iPhones at the moment, although there potentially is something in the future they might have mentioned today.
Very true, yes. Oh, well, I suppose I haven't actually mentioned I rock the LG G watch. Yeah, that's what it's
Nice.
called. I totally forgot about that. It's completely part of me. It just is there. I love it. It's great. Great, great, great. Okay, so let's whip into the podcast and churn through what there's been announced so far at Mobile World Congress. Obviously, we're not going to hit everything because this is Wednesday, and it's on till Friday. But some things do dribble out towards the end of the week from time to time. But we'll start with the HTC One M9, which is the 2015 version of their flagship phone. Now, I was lucky enough to get a little bit of a hands-on with this just before Mobile World Congress. This time last week, I was playing with it. And it's a rather lovely phone. It is a very, very nice phone. The specifications are right up there. It's got a a Qualcomm 2 gigahertz 810 processor, 3 gigabytes of RAM, runs Lollipop 4G, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 32 gigabytes of storage, a micro SD card slot, which is important to point out, and a 20 megapixel camera on the back, and the M8's 4 megapixel camera brought round to the front to help with selfie pictures, because ultra pixels on selfies would be great. I dared to ask a good few questions about the phone because I'd followed the LG Flex 2, which has the 810 processor inside it as well, and I noted that people were saying that it was overheating. I managed to ask one of the engineers what their thoughts were with that, and they added that they couldn't get either Qualcomm or HTC, HTC or Qualcomm could not manage to replicate the situation that LG were having, possibly due to LG's ability to write drivers and things like that and software for the phone. So they think that it's just down to LG as opposed to HTC and Qualcomm.
I have to say, I had a similar situation with my Nexus 5 and G3. They overheated badly a lot.
Right, okay. So it was a concern for me because this is an all-metal case that you're going to be putting a processor that has the potential to cause the Great Fire of London into. And it's... oh, hello. That'll be Dan. He says hi.
Hi, Dan.
Maybe he'll speak to us next week. Yes, the it's a lovely device. Again, just like the previous ones, it's a lovely looking device. It has an awful lot of interesting specifications in it to keep it up there. However, it is missing one crucial spec that an awful lot of the other manufacturers have put into all of their devices and made big strides in improving in the last couple of generations, I'd say, and that is optimal image stabilization in the camera. HTC haven't put that in, which is a bit of a shame, and I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity because the camera is very good on the one. Now, obviously, I was using a technician's ROM or technician's preview ROM as opposed to the final ROM that's going to be released in the phone, so I wasn't able to use any stock shots or take any pictures with me. But from what I saw and from the photo implementation on the device, it was all very good. So it's a bit of a shame that they didn't do that. It's a missed opportunity. But they also have this thing called the theme generator, which is, I guess you could kind of call it a sort of a bit of a lame duck being thrown inside, but it worked quite well, where it you can create the feel of the phone depending on what you're doing, where you're going, and what you generally use the phone for, depending on your location. If you've ever used the cover lock screen, you'll know that when you go somewhere, it can start recommending applications to you based on you being A, in work, or B, at home. You can, like, Facebook will pop up more often whenever you're at home, and things like Google Docs may pop up whenever you're in work. So the things that you use in work, it'll recommend to you, alongside photographs and local interesting spots. At lunchtime, it'll point out local restaurants that may interest you near you. It'll show you photographs of times that you maybe have been somewhere before, like if you go to Disney World. It'll show you the pictures that you took last year, that kind of thing. It's creating a sort of a more personal experience for users of HTC devices. Now, Matt, I know that you would be quite excited about this device. Is anything here making you go, I'd have that, or are you just going, maybe I'll look elsewhere this year, the iPhone's doing it for me?
I'm on the verge of disappointment, I think, with the M9, if I'm honest. Certainly there's some bits in there that are interesting. I think the fact that they've taken such a 180 with the camera, quite literally in some respects, that they're with putting the 4 megapixels on the front. But I mean, with everything they did last year with the M8, with its dual cam, or duo cam, I should say, and how much they really laboured on that being the killer feature with its ability to do afterfocus and all that kind of stuff. and doing so much work, if you like, with the ultra-pixel camera technology, which I think is very good, by the way. I think the ultra-pixel camera, despite being only, in inverted commas, 4 megapixels, I think is a very good camera. I still switch to the M8. If I don't have a proper camera, I would switch to the M8 in preference to the iPhone if I'm taking a snap. But yet they've realised that, I don't know whether they think that they're kind of flogging a dead horse, or that the market just isn't responding, I would imagine, to the ultra-pixel concept, that they've gone really back to that high megapixel count competition almost, which, at 20 megapixels they're not really winning. And what have they put in place of the ultra-pixel camera that's different or unique? I think the answer to that is not a lot, really. I mean, they've got some of their own image processing chips in there, if I remember rightly.
That's right.
Again, they're very good, because the one on the M8 is very good. The image processing and the DSPs and the signal to noise and all that kind of stuff. But as you mentioned, there's no optical image stabilizer, where everybody else is pushing that into a device. The reason they said last year that the M8 didn't have an optical image stabilizer, which they said was quite possible when they could do it and everything like that, was because of it being a duocam, and that if it wasn't for the fact that it was a duocam, they would have done it. Well, there is an image stabilization on the M8, but it's not ideal. It's only 2-axis. But then what else have they done with the device? Really? Okay, there's a different CPU and chipset. But it's not exactly cutting edge or bleeding edge even. It's basically the same LCD panel. Whereas, again, everybody else is going higher than HD. They're going quad and 4K and whatever else. So, and it doesn't even look that different. So, I mean, that's kind of like, not that I really care, and I shouldn't care that much about what people think I have in terms of device. But when I change a phone, I kind of want to know that it looks like I've changed my phone, and I just don't think. I think you kind of don't get that with the M9 to M8 to M9 upgrade. That said, it is a good design. I like the all-metal design of the M8 and therefore of the M9, and I like build quality. I like all the other stuff that's already in there, but if I had to pay for it, would I spend my money upgrading from an M8 to an M9? And I'm afraid I don't think that I don't. Well, I wouldn't. There's just no two ways about it. I wouldn't spend my money going M8 to M9 when realistically, what benefit am I getting? I'm getting a 20 megapixel camera, and that's about it. I don't use it. I don't use selfies. Don't take selfies. So having the forward-facing ultra-pixel camera is neither here nor there. And I don't think that I have any applications, and I think probably 90% of people don't have applications that will push the processor on a mobile device to warrant having a 2 gigahertz and upwards processor. I'd actually rather have a slower processor and extended battery life, and I know obviously that is a function of these devices, that they do slow down to conserve battery life, but I think I'd rather that trade-off. Even games don't really push the processor to that extent, and it all just becomes a number.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was a bit of a bit of a monologue, wasn't it? But
No, it's a good answer. There's plenty of food for thought, I'm sure. A lot of people agree with many of the points that you make there, and it's making people think, oh, even more so. You could add to no one's mentioned anything about the battery life, whereas Samsung made a song and dance about the battery. HTC didn't really mention the battery. But Phil, what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
It's kind of an iterative release, catching up with some of the specs of the other ones. The Duo Cam last year was interesting, but does anybody actually use it? My experience from the HTC One devices that I've had is the cameras are great for doing a little shot quickly, but I actually tried to use one for something at work where I then needed to zoom in. And I'm used to the iPhone or the, what did I have? Nexus 5, where I could take a 8 megapixel shot from across the road, zoom in, it was lovely. Tried it with an HTC One's camera, no zoom in if possible. That's it. So I think maybe they're trying to catch up. I mean, the new processor, it's just a tick box. You've got to get the latest, haven't you, for a flagship? So pick that up. 3 gigs of RAM this time seems to be the standard.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nice. I'm sure it'll tick all the boxes, and unlike us, where we upgrade every year, and I know exactly what Matt means because, being an iPhone user, every other year we get something that looks exactly the same. So iPhone 5S, it looked exactly the same. So M9 looks the same as the M8. Next year the M10, maybe something a bit different, a bit more exciting. And the average user is changing every 2 years. So this will be potentially someone swapping from the M7 to the M9. Yeah, brilliant upgrade, but maybe not for us.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of very fair points that you're adding there, and I think whenever you come down to all the flagships this year, it's HTC seem to be taking the safe route a bit along lines of what Apple has done, where they're not, as Matt pointed out, looking to be the cutting, bleeding edge. They're looking to perfect what people want and what people use. So they've looked at the market and gone, well, we could have put in the bleeding edge camera here, but we are focused on delivering the best camera experience without having to just whack in the most ridiculously over the top camera inside a device that people know, people love, and that is like what Apple do with their with their iPhones. So it's a logical upgrade as opposed to a technical achievement, which I guess would bring us on to Samsung's Galaxy S6. That's a device that really pushes the boundaries. It dares to take risks with everything that we know and love about, well, maybe not Phil, but we know and like about Samsung products. In the past, they have aped Apple for not having removable batteries or micro SD cards, whereas now they're quite happy to get rid of that, despite the fact it's something that they made fun of another company for. And I wonder just what is happening behind Samsung's scenes. I'd love to be in one of those meetings where they sat down and went, right, what are we going to do with the next Galaxy S device? So what do we need? What do we not need? And what can we put in there that's going to blow people away? Obviously, with the Samsung Galaxy S5, I'd say personally the biggest addition to that was the water resistance, waterproofing technology that they added in there, and that was a wonderful thing. It really was. It was different, and not a lot of companies had been pushing that. Sony, perhaps, yeah, but having it in there in this mainstream device made for such a welcome change to the market. I expected some of the other companies to do that this year. I expected the HTC One to have some sort of water resistance factor to it, but I don't believe it does. I know the grip does, but they didn't put it into the HTC One, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. But that's the way things go, and obviously you can add that in with the the way that the battery's not removable with the S6, because that makes sense to not have to be able to open the phone, and that helps with the waterproofing idea there. But it's got a 16 megapixel camera on the back, which, unlike HTC, they're perfecting the technology that is there. The HTC did put in the 20 megapixel, and I know I'll contradict myself by saying it is the cutting bleeding edge of cameras, and so much so that it actually has a protrusion on the back of the phone, which Apple has just been slated for putting that on the back of their 6. But they've gone for the octa-core processor in the Galaxy, and it's a device that people are actually going to want. I know a lot of people have approached me over the last couple of days saying, "What do you think of it? When's it out? When can I get one?" No one said that about the HTC. No one actually said that about the iPhone 6 or 6 Plus. I know a lot of people I know have bought it, but it goes to show that this is actually turning heads for where heads wouldn't normally turn. They're not so much asking about the Edge, but more the traditional S6, because I think there's still a fear that your hand will interact with the sides of the screen on the Edge, and people don't like the idea of that happening. Phil, what are your feelings on the Galaxy S6? Because I know you're not a big fan of the S's.
I'm not a big fan of them. One of the reasons was the build quality. I've obviously not had this in hand yet, but a lot of those things to do with build quality. Having a removable back does make them seem more flimsy and more prone to falling apart in your hand. This is a one-piece, a non-removable back, let's say, non-removable battery. You can build a much stronger chassis and have something that actually feels quite robust and strong in your hand. It's got everything that I would want to see in something, and some things I can't really. Biometric heart rate sensor, I don't really know why you need that in the phone. That would seem better placed to be in a wearable, but yeah, everything's there. Fingerprint scanner apparently works just like the iPhone's one, so half the time.
You know, I've got the fingerprint scanner on the Note 4, and I use it as the lock screen. I've never had a problem with it. It's never failed on me once. Yeah, never.
I have slightly sweaty fingers, and therefore it doesn't work when you have slightly sweaty fingers.
Nice.
Everything else, I mean, the fast charging as well, that's good. Yeah, it sounds nice. I like the sound of it, apart from TouchWiz, but there we are.
Yeah. Matt, you got any feelings on the Galaxy? Yeah, I see a curled lip there. I take it you're not...
Again, I think Samsung have done better this year than perhaps previously, and they've done something a little different. They've done the sort of thing that you kind of expect HTC to do, in that they've done something that is, radical's perhaps the right word for it, but it's a little bit more daring, perhaps. Which in the past we've expected HTC to do stuff that's, like the ultra pixel camera, which was a bit different. And Samsung have really done that, particularly with the Edge. I like the concept there, and I think, but I think it needs to be more around the edge rather than just that slight curve. I think they could have done more with that, but that will probably be an iterative thing that in the next version it will go all the way around the edge or whatever it might be. So I think I've done more, but again, is it amazing? I don't think so. It's better, but I don't think it's awesome. They've gone to a 16 megapixel camera, but they do have the optical image stabilizer. Mm-hmm. And it's not all about the pixel count. I accept that. It's all about optics and actual sensors and stuff like that. But it still seems a little bit strange when not so long ago Samsung were really riding that. Bigger is, or more pixel count, or higher pixel count is better. They've obviously decided to get off that horse and just sort of go with a 16. So there's nothing wrong with 16. Don't get me wrong, but they seem to have changed their tune a little bit. Let's just say that. 3 gig of RAM. Again, it's the standard. The processors and chipsets. I think as you said, Phil, it's pretty much ticking those boxes. What do we need to have in the device? Yes, it needs to have this many megapixel camera at least. Tick. What's the chipset? Tick. Does it have this Bluetooth? Does it have that? It's all much the same. And I think really within the last, really what we're hearing right now, it's just a whole series of range of devices that there's just such a blur in a way between what each of them offers. And I think only really the Edge stands out for being that much more different. And I think Samsung putting in a better screen technology into both the S6 and the S6s Edge does give them the edge, no pun intended, because they've got the higher pixel count. They've got 1440 by 2560 displays, which I think really HTC should have done at the very least.
But you would get a better battery life potentially by not doing that, and a faster device. So maybe you can understand. I think the M9 to me seems to stack up for a 6-monthly release cycle, like Sony were doing. So you do a little bit every 6 months. But
yeah,
they're an annual release kind of company for their flagship, and it seems to be that they're just catching up. Well, they're going back on what they've done to get them where they need to be now, not where they need to be in 6 months' time. Which the Edge seems to be where they need to be in 6 months, maybe, with the S6 being it's just produced an iPhone 6 almost.
Well, I think the one thing we really should be looking at is battery, and that's one thing that Samsung, they didn't need to put into this device. I'm not saying that obviously they have done their research and development very well, and the fact that even down to this Note 4, I think it's one of the greatest things. It's actually kind of life changing. I don't have to plug this in at night. I can plug this in whenever I get into the shower, and it'll be pretty much full by the time I'm done. That's astonishing to me. Before you would, I had the Note 3 and the Note 2 before this. I get home and I plug it in and I just leave it there for the rest of from the night to the morning, and it would be charged by the time I get up. I look at my tablet now and go, oh God, that takes 2 to 3 hours to charge the full thing. Whereas this, I stick it on the charger for about 30 minutes and I can see the battery jump by about 50%. Now the S5 has improved on that as well, where they're saying 10 minutes of charging if the screen's off. I'm pretty sure that is from 0 to about 40% in 10 minutes. That's amazing. That really is a leap and a bound when it comes to battery life, because obviously these devices have to be as thin as possible for them to sell. It's just one of those things. People don't buy fat phones anymore. And it'll be a suicide for any company to release a fat phone with a big battery that'll last 2 or 3 days. So whenever it comes to one of these batteries or one of these manufacturers releasing their flagship, they have to have it as thin and sexy as possible. And unfortunately, that's at the expense of battery life. Samsung have realized this and gone, right, we need to look at this technology, and Motorola to a certain extent as well, with the Nexus 6 doing something similar. We have to do this. We have to get better battery life without sacrificing the looks, and it's almost an impossible feat. And Samsung have come up with a realistic and quite ingenious solution, if you think about it, to us a problem that really shouldn't present itself just because we're all suckers for good-looking phones. What do you think of that, Phil?
Yeah, I think there's elements of it. I think it's difficult. I think there have been some changes. Battery technology, I think they've worked out. You can't fill up a battery really quickly, but you can push a bit into it really quickly. I see it with my electronic cigarette. I've got a new one that does the same. It fires 60% worth in about 25 minutes. The rest of it takes a couple of hours, and it really does. That once you see that kind of thing, it's a great improvement. I've got the iPhone 6, and I know a lot of people say that you can flatten the battery pretty quickly, but I really struggle. I can use the thing all day and still have 30% of battery left by the time I go to bed. There's been times when I've forgotten to plug it in overnight, and I've woken up and I've still got 45% the next morning. Not on those nights when I've gone to bed with 35%. Obviously, it's not magical, but you got 45% the next morning, and you can get through almost the next day without a charge. I think one of the things with Lollipop as well is it's, I think, a bit more battery conscious, and the way that the process is ramped down is a bit more battery friendly, and just stretching what little battery we got. I mean, what's the iPhone got? 3,000 milliamp hour, something like that. The same as you get in the average iPhone, the average high-ish end Android. What I was seeing with my Nexus 5, 2,300 milliamp hour battery would be dead in, well, an hour and a half. I could kill that. So there have been progressions, movement, however you want to put it, and battery life is becoming something that people know about and actually think about.
So you're happy with the iPhone battery as it stands, but if you were to go back to Android, and would you look for a phone that maybe lasted 2-3 days that was fatter, or would you go for something as slim as possible?
I'd still want something thin that if I need to, I can then plug an extra battery on to. One of the things with the S6, it covers both sorts of charging, wireless charging.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, a lot of us have got the Qi wireless charging for multiple reasons. Many of the phones we've had, Nexus 5, for example, even my electronic cigarettes have got wireless charging in it as well. But that's got both, and I think McDonald's in London are just rolling out their other form of wireless charging, the Duracell version. So you pop into McDonald's, you get a bit of food to recharge yourself, you can recharge your phone at the same time. Brilliant idea. Starbucks, I think in the States they do the same thing. They're going to roll it out here. I think potentially the ability to have almost ubiquitous wireless charging in places you might go, whether it be a coffee shop or a fast food restaurant. IKEA, we'll come on to that later, I'm sure. You'll be able to get yourself a quick bit of charge. Brilliant.
Yeah, and it should be everywhere in libraries or even just in a phone shop. Being able to look at, if you top up your phone, you should be able to top up your battery at the same time.
With the current form, next form of the Qi wireless charging, you don't have to actually put it on the mat. You have to be within 40, not you, Matt, obviously, but you need to have it within 40 millimeters of it. So that's quite a reasonable. Throw it on a desk and you get some charge. Brilliant idea.
Yeah, we can throw it at Matt and get some charge. Get charged.
Get charged, yeah.
Okay, so Microsoft have delivered some new devices, which are we fussed, to be honest? The
No.
6, I've written the 940. I don't know why I've done that.
Yeah.
The 640 and the 640 XL. Phil, you like your Windows phone? You
How much are they
enthusiastic
going
about
to
these?
cost? How much are they going to cost? Pricing is estimated €139 for 3G and 159 for LTE.
Yeah.
And the bigger one, €189 for 3G and 219 for LTE. No, I'll have a Moto G, I think.
Yeah. But, well, obviously Windows 10 is going to be compatible with these devices. I think they've got their 1 gigabyte of RAM. If I remember correctly, reading somewhere that makes a difference. It's all down to the RAM.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. They have to have 1 gig. So,
I think what I'm more excited about on the same article that's been put up on the site is the Microsoft Universal Foldable Keyboard. Much more excited.
See, this is the amazing thing. I was about to say the same thing too. Microsoft announces some new phones and a foldable keyboard, and everyone goes, "Oh, a keyboard."
Yeah.
Soft
That really
phones.
is quite a good idea. I think I could use that for the iPad, the iPhone, hopefully my Android one, because I don't like whatever it is, the keyboard that I've got on it currently. It's too small after using an iPhone 6 Plus.
Oh, I found a keyboard the other day. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to go and get it because it was class. I want to show it off.
Okay.
Matt, what do you think of the new Microsoft phones?
I'm gonna have to hold my hands up and say I haven't really seen them, but I'm not a massive fan of Windows devices anyway. To be quite honest with you, I find them quite unexciting, and yeah, not a fan of the OS in its entirety. So that's why I tend not to take too much notice, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I'd agree. Even though I posted the article, I had trouble reading through it. I found it quite quite boring, and also they were kind of little budget phones. I wasn't too enthusiastic, but I found this the other day, and I'll hold it up so you can just about see. It says Palm, right? And on the side here, there's a wee lock mechanism that it unlocks, and then you pull it out, and you got your full keyboard there.
Something like that. I'm gonna go to my cupboard now.
And it slides across like that, and like that, and there's a wee stand that pops up here that you can place your device on, and have a full laptop experience on a PDA. That's fantastic, and it's in mint condition. I don't think it's ever been used. I love it, and it even comes in a cute little bag as well. That it screams quality from a company that was quality.
Yeah.
What have you got, Matt?
I got one. Here's mine. So I was pointing out I've barely ever used this. So it comes in a nice leather batch, bigger than yours.
Hey, that's no surprise.
It pops out and folds open. Whoops. You can lock it somewhere. There we go. The lock.
Oh no.
There we go. So lock it so it doesn't fold, and there you go. And that's a nice size as well.
It is,
That's
yeah.
Bluetooth.
It's Bluetooth, and it's, I think, hang on, comes a little stand. I'm not sure how that works though. I may have just broken it. Yeah. Anyway, there's this stand thing.
There was a stand thing.
Goes on it somehow. It is Bluetooth. It's quite decent as well because it's got different Bluetooth modes, and it's got loads of shortcut keys and all that kind of stuff. So it's a decent keyboard. I've used it a couple of times, and I used it with the iPad. It works quite well. But
Is it compatible with both the iPad and Android, or?
I don't know actually. Should we find out?
Yeah, go on then.
But they're apparently it's one of those things. The damn thing needs charging. How outrageous!
Oh, I never thought about that. Does this need charging then as well?
I'm
Huh.
just wondering where the charger port is on this thing. Oh, no, hang on.
Is yours Bluetooth, Gareth, or is that for Palm devices only?
It's Palm devices only. It has a Palm connector on it.
Limited use.
Slightly limited appeal. As long as you're using a device that's 17 years old, you're fine.
Well, you see, I do have one of the largest Palm collections in the world, just over behind me. You name it, I've got it. It says Palm on it.
I need a couple of AAA batteries, and then I'm golden, apparently.
Ah,
Well,
then you
have
need
to
one of these.
try.
I just found this tonight, actually, in the back of my car. You unplug it here, and it's a USB cable, and you can charge some AA and AAA batteries inside that.
Cool, I've got a USB device somewhere. I think I left it in America.
Handy, if you need it. Yeah. So, yeah, we're here to talk about mobile technology. Well, these keyboards are.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a mobile.
Okay, so we'll move on from Microsoft because it's
Boring.
dead. Yeah, okay. Also announced was well, there was one device that I picked up on that I was quite excited about because I hadn't realised that the first one had actually been released. The Blackphone 2 was there. It's got a 5.5-inch HD display with Gorilla Glass 3. It's powered by an octa-core Qualcomm CPU with 3 gigabytes of RAM. There was no price and no availability. Now, this is a device that runs Android, but it's a different kind of mod of it, which is called Private OS. And it features a large amount of security so that the likes of those big bad names like the NSA or the UK government can't access your phone and pull out all your information and photographs and check and see what kind of spanking videos you've been watching, because quite honestly, they're illegal. Who would have thought you'd ever say that out loud? Anyway, it features a new feature called Spaces, which will separate personal and work data for administrator level control of enterprise information. So they're pushing into the business world, which is probably going to be most welcome by an awful lot of businesses that won't be wanting the same kind of repeat that the likes of Edward Snowden have to escape to Russia to avoid leaking. You guys seen the original Blackphone, or played with it, or heard of it?
If we had, would we be able to talk about it? This actually, it sounds like something that businesses would like. But are Google not building something very similar to this into the next-ish version of Lollipop with, what do they call it? Google for Business or Android for Business, so you'll have your own separate spaces that will be yours and work.
Yes, but if you're paranoid enough to worry about any form of privacy, the last company you're going to trust, no, that's the American government, the last, you probably wouldn't trust Google that much.
I don't know. Who is Blackphone? Who are they? Who are they? And it's Android based, so Google's still there.
Well, it is. Well, it's probably Linux based, maybe, and they take Android and just tear it to shreds. So it's a lot of.
Well, that's what they'd want you to think. It's actually just Jelly Bean, and they haven't told us. They've just told you different.
They're repackaging a Claire. I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But there was announced today that there's a major flaw in Android and iPhone security, which is going to have to be patched next week. That goes back to the 90s or something like that, apparently. So nothing's that safe. So even if this has Chrome on it, it would have a major flaw. So security. Who knows?
Do you mean like the 90s, as in whenever Vanilla Ice was in the charts?
Yeah, it's called The Freak, or I can't remember. I read it earlier. It's called Freak Me or something like that. I can't remember now. I'm gonna have to go on to Feedly. But yeah, there's a flaw in Safari, WebKit basically.
Okay, all right. Well, fair enough.
Nothing's 100% secure. So there we are.
Well, from one Blackphone to another, I don't know if you remember them, but there was this company called BlackBerry. They used to be quite popular around the days of Palm and other Titanic titans of the day. They did. They made pagers and phones, Blueberries and stuff like that, Redberries and the Gooseberry, which was an ill-fated big green one with hairs all over the back of it.
I think they should have kept that one going. I think that was their biggest opportunity.
Well, they did, but wives and girlfriends started complaining about it because you never wanted to have a gooseberry or be a gooseberry. So, shh. Sorry. The BlackBerry Leap has been announced, and this one passed me by completely. I hadn't even heard of it or anything until I was doing a bit of research for the podcast. This is I believe it's a new phone with a 5-inch screen, 720p touchscreen at that, 16 gigabytes of onboard storage, 8 megapixel camera, and it seems like technology hasn't carried on since we last did a podcast, because I remember talking about budget phones with this kind of spec level. It's got a 2800 milliamp hour battery, which can last for up to 25 hours of heavy use. And it runs, obviously, BlackBerry. It has BlackBerry World on it and the Amazon App Store.
It's a Nexus 4.
Roughly, yeah, which makes it an iPhone 5. Or an iPhone 6.
Yes, something like that. Yeah. On a slight tangent, I actually saw someone using a BlackBerry Passport today on the tube.
Yes, I saw one this time last week. There was a man who had a passport. What did he look like, this man? Maybe it was the same man. Did he have glasses?
It was a young lady, and she was quite small and petite, and this was probably the same size as her head.
Yeah, well, I bet she was probably carrying it, wasn't she?
She was. It looked more like a laptop, if anything.
I mean, if ever there was a more ridiculous device, I mean, it looks so stupid. And I'm going to really upset a lot of the BlackBerry fanboys out there, but seriously, I saw a really butch-looking guy carrying one the other day, and it still looked enormous, even in his great big hands. And it was like he was trying to carry around a small laptop. It reminded me of what was those EPC, Asus EPC type things a few years ago? It was like one of those, and then just like the whole thing, they annoy me.
Okay.
They annoy me to the point where I just want to take it out of their hands and go straight on the floor and go, get an iPhone.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry,
Well,
I did tangent this for a reason. I think with this one, the BlackBerry Leap, it just seems like a large-ditch effort to try and be at all relevant and fail. I want to just send them. I mean, looking at the technology they've got into this phone, the specs, I want to send them a telegram, and it would just be stop.
well, yeah. The Leap, it shouldn't exist, to be honest. I was going to say before Matt went and stamped all over the pansies, that I really liked the Passport and was thinking, I could actually have one of these. It's quite nice. If it wasn't for it having Amazon App Store, I would much prefer to actually go for Google Play, because I thought it was a very comfortable device to use. It looked good, and it was a wee bit different. It was not a slab phone with a touchscreen on the front that is black, because when you walk into a phone shop and go, oh, whereas this sits there and you go, oh, and you actually walk toward it. Whenever the guy pulled it out of his pocket, I was intrigued. I really wanted to have a play with it. Shit.
Big difference for the sake of being different, though, isn't necessarily a good plan, though, is it? I mean, I want to be different. Everybody's got two ears. I'm going to cut one off, or something like that. Isn't necessarily a good plan. Maybe the Passport is the same.
Operating my iPhone with only my nose.
Okay, well, I'll put in. I was swayed by the fact that it had a full QWERTY keyboard on it, and I haven't seen one of those in a long time, and I really miss them.
Yeah, I'll actually agree to that. But just because it has a QWERTY keyboard doesn't mean it's a good device. I mean, that's like saying I miss my QWERTY keyboard so much I'm going to use my Palm device, and my Palm Oh no, you'll probably do that anyway, won't you?
Yes.
Better off would be to get the fold-up Microsoft keyboard and use it with one of your other devices.
One with a QWERTY keyboard. So I'll connect it up to the 9900. Yeah, we'll go with that. I wonder if this actually works with the Trio 650.
I think I've got at work, what was it called? I've got one of the HTC slide-out non-3G. What were they called? Oh, the smartphone. I've got one of them at work with a broken screen. I'll send it so then you can use a QWERTY keyboard.
I can't see the screen though if it's broken. The Titan maybe, or
No, it's more basic than that. No, the real fat rubbish one.
Ah, HTC made a rubbish phone. No.
Yeah.
Probably in my cupboard.
Probably you've got one in your cupboard. MDA 2? I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, okay, so the BlackBerry Leap is a sort of a bit of a mess. It's Frogger getting splattered by a car, perhaps.
I mean, sideways sliding QWERTY.
Yeah, one of them.
One of these.
No, that's
Yeah, one of them. More basic version, the 2G version of it, though.
Oh, I didn't know they did a 2G one, did they?
Yeah.
You have to get the feelers out, Matt.
It's probably in the cupboard over there.
There is one, yeah. You've got one over there, I'm sure.
Anyway,
I take it you're going to be phoning Peter Chong tomorrow and tell him there's an HTC that you don't have, Matt.
Well, there are quite a few HTCs that I don't have because I don't have many of the US only ones. If anybody out there's got a lot of HTC phones that they don't want, they can send them to me. And what I will do in return, because fair's fair, I will send you a 6x4 autographed photograph of me with the phone.
Wearing a mankini.
Yeah, sure, why not?
6x2, did you say?
6x4.
6x4. You're not 6'4".
No, I'm 6'3".
Ah, there you go. Yeah, excellent. Actually, I got a text message from a friend today, which you might quite find interesting. I'll just look it up here. It says, just found that there is a cupboard full of old unused smartphones in our store. The only one he recognizes is the Sony P910i, because he had one of those. But there's a few of them.
Nice.
So we're going to go raid wherever it is he works.
The P910, the one that had the little flippy over keypad.
Flipping over that's the keyboard, yeah. And then when you flipped it down, you could then use the tiny stylus on the screen on those little ones.
One of these, you mean?
Yeah.
Flips
And
down like that, and there's
That's it.
there's another one,
Second
and this is
keyboard underneath. Yeah.
detachable.
Yeah. Or breakable.
Ugh. Oh, I wish I hadn't
Battery
opened
release.
that. Oh, that's horrible. There was something stuck in there. It might have been snot based.
Oh.
I can't even remember who I got that off. I bought that off a friend. I mustn't have opened that. Ugh. Ooh. Right, I'll have to wash that later. I want to wash my hands now, actually. All right, so Alcatel made a few announcements. They announced a couple of new devices. The Hero 2, which was the more interesting of the two devices that they did launch. There's the Hero 2 and the Hero 2. Oh no, it's the Hero 2 Plus. It's called actually. This is a 6-inch phablet with a 2 GHz octa-core Cortex A7 CPU inside it, with 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB on board. It comes with a stylus and a micro SD card slot for up to 32 GB of extra storage. I hope that was a misprint, but apparently not. You can only put a 32 GB card in this. However, the big selling point here is that it actually runs Cyanogen OS 11. Cyanogen mod, I'm guessing that should... Well, maybe it is. Which is the one that's on the OnePlus One, roughly, isn't it? Phil, you would know that, wouldn't you?
Very roughly, yeah. Yeah, Cyanogen have partnered with them. They are now their only partner. I don't think the OnePlus One is going to have it going forward, or the 2, or the 2 plus 1, or whatever it's going to be called.
OnePlus 2, is it? Or
OnePlus, yeah. But I don't. Yeah, I think Cyanogen announced Cyanogen Inc. They rebranded to match the new phone that Alcatel have put out. So there seems to be some very much linked partnership between them. So good luck to them.
Has the potential to be mind-boggling exciting, because Alcatel bought Palm. Sorry, bought WebOS, but most of the Palm branding as well, I believe. So we may see some Palms coming out with WebOS and Cyanogen mod.
Possibly.
That'd be fun. The other phones, the two phones that they announced, was the Idol 3, and it comes in two flavors, the 4.7-inch and the 5.5-inch. They're not bad looking devices. Qualcomm Snapdragon 615 processors inside with LTE and other specs, 13 megapixel cameras and stuff, and hi-fi speakers on the front, which I think sounds a wee bit alarming. Yeah. But the one thing that they do is that they rotate the screen depending on what way you're using the phone. So if you pick the phone upside down, you can still use it upside down. Android will rotate whatever way you happen to be holding the phone, which is kind of nice, I suppose, because I think Android only really rotates one way or the other way.
I've seen that somewhere before.
And you're for those that are listening to the podcast, he's holding up an iPhone and turning it upside down, and then the right way around.
It works.
And it's very slowly churning the screen.
Animating it beautifully.
Smooth, is it? It's smooth sailing.
It's interesting, the two screen sizes they chose. So I wonder where they picked those numbers from, 4.7 and 5.5. I can't think of any other phones where you would have that pairing. No.
Well, they're not as in your face as ZTE, because their little phone is a plastic copy of the... No, I'm not going to say that. No, that's mean against ZTE.
Homage.
It is, yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. All right, we'll move to some tablets because some tablets were announced at Mobile World Congress, two of which are worth mentioning. Well, actually, there was a bunch of Lenovo's that look quite nice, but to be honest, these are more exciting. There's the Sony Xperia Z4. Sony were at Mobile World Congress. They did not announce the Z4, which was a little bit disappointing. They announced the already announced E4, isn't it? Or E3?
Or Aqua Mini?
Yeah. Some small, boring device. But they...
I think.
Sorry?
Waterproof, I think, though.
Ah, yes. Well, most of the Sonys are waterproof or water resistant to some respect. The Xperia Z4 tablet has been announced, which weighs just 13.7 ounces, which I'm thinking is probably quite light. It's got a 2K display, which is 2560 by 1600, and it comes with 2 GHz octa-core Qualcomm processor inside, and it will ship in June. Sony Xperia tablets are generally very nice, although I need to go and watch a video of this, because was it the Z3 had those really nasty dust covers that felt like they were going to break off at any opportunity, and actually collected more dust underneath them. I had the Z. No, it was the Z2 I had.
That was the Z1 collected lots of dust. And the Z2 might have done.
No,
Z3
Z2 did.
compact tablet was, I thought, lovely.
It was, yes, that was a very nice tablet.
This new one, the Z4, 2 points I've got. It's been pointed out it looks exactly like an iPad mini. It does. And why is it coming out in June? Why have they launched it now? Why have they shown it now? It's probably going to be it. But those specs are now, not June. So,
yeah, that's a fair point, yeah.
Why have they announced it? They should have kept quiet about it and just brought it out in June.
Well, they need something to announce. They can't be like LG and...
But they haven't got any product. It would have been better not to.
Vaporware, that's what it is.
Well, we've seen it before. A lot of the accessories from Sony, I mean, a lot of the Z2 accessories never materialised because it got replaced very quickly with the Z3. Z4, I think they're going to go to looks like they might be going to a yearly cycle rather than 6 months. But we'll see.
There has been...
I'm not a fan of announcing and not releasing at the same time. I think you should do almost day and date. If you're going to announce something, bring it out.
Well, there are rumours that Sony might be exiting the phone and tablet arena. Do you think this could be them winding down?
They are not doing so. Didn't they say at this announcement we are not trying to shutter the phone business or something like that? I think they might.
Oh, okay. They should just hand it back to Ericsson. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the Frenchies, the Arcos bunch came forward with something a little bit different. Yeah, they are trying to do something a wee bit more pleasing for people, and they have announced fusion storage on tablets. They've got a new range called the Magnus, and there's 3 tablets which have pretty impressive internal storage amounts, quotas, technology. What they're doing is they're fusing together various storage methods into larger capacities so that you don't really notice what you have there. And Arcos, I think, they're a good company to do this because they famously had Android devices with 500 gigabyte hard drives in them in the past. I have one just over there. And then they went down to like 8 gigabytes and 16 gigabytes, and people just didn't use them for media anymore. These are media-centric devices, one of which, the Arcos 101 Magnus has, or is it the 94 Magnus? I can't remember now. I haven't put that in the notes here, but one of them has 250 gigabytes of internal storage, which is immense for on the go. That would do enough movies for a flight to Fiji, maybe. And there's 3 of them. There's the 110 and because I haven't actually made this post live yet, I can't read it. I forgot about that. I was looking on the website there for this post, but I'll post it soon. Yeah, there's 3 devices, and check the website for all the details on them, because whilst there's no big specs or anything in them, the storage fusion thing, or fusion storage as they're calling it, is a pretty cool anchor for tablet range. If you need storage, Arcos are the guys to go to. Their tablets can be quite good. They can also be appalling. But the less said about that, the better. What do you think, guys? Would you go for storage, or is Dropbox and Google Drive enough to satisfy your needs, Matt?
I use Google. I use Dropbox. I use that an awful lot, and yeah, I find that much more useful than having the onboard storage on anything, because it's across all my devices, be it desktop, mobile, laptop, somebody else's desktop, whatever. So yeah, that's what I use almost exclusively. I rarely save anything onto my local drives now.
Say, for example, your iPad, which you don't really use very much anymore, is it 32, 64, or?
My Mini is 64, I think.
And have you ever filled it, or?
I may have like a half of that taken up with music, but no, definitely, I don't think I've filled it. I filled smaller devices for sure, but yeah, with my iPhone, I just put as much music on there as I can fit, regardless of the size. And if I run out, I just don't put as much music on there. So, I tend to, Dropbox is what I use for everything. I save every working document, file, image, you name it. I save into Dropbox and work on it regardless of the device or the machine I'm working on.
Okay. What about you, Phil? Would the storage matter to you?
Much the same. To me, photographs I upload to Google and Dropbox. So I've got 2 copies. Generally delete the one on the device at that point because I don't want to be cluttered up. As far as media goes, Netflix is where it's at for me, so that's my method. I don't need to carry a lot on the device. If I'm going on a plane, for example, no, I won't have it. I'll load up the iPad with enough movies for a flight there, flight back, and on holiday if the weather gets nasty. It's 32 gigabyte iPad, virtually full anyway. iPhone 64, it's half full. If I want to go on holiday or something like that, what I will be, I'll be throwing loads of movies on that. Taking away with me a HDMI lead for the iPad, the iPhone, plug it into the TV when I'm there. To me, storage is not that important.
Yeah. Well, actually, I do take storage very seriously, and my Nexus 10, which is my in-flight entertainment, would probably have a couple of games on it, which would total about maybe a couple of games would be 5 gigabytes, and then on a 32 gigabyte device, you whack on a few 720p movies or a few several episodes of a 720p TV show, and you're full, and it really annoys me. I wish that the Nexus 10 would have a 64 gigabyte version or more, or a micro SD card slot. I know there's other Android tablets out there that have micro SD card slots, but I have no interest in going away from the naked Android experience and Lollipop and getting the updates and all that sort of thing. So, I choose that. I have to choose that.
I actually do have a suggestion. I get a very cheap on eBay is the BlackBerry Playbook 64 gigabyte. Very cheap. There you go. There's a nice media consumption device.
Well, actually, I have this. It's something actually that Matt sent me a wee while ago. It's a RAV Power battery charger thing with a USB here and SD card here. And if you look there, you can see that it is a Wi-Fi hotspot jobby, and you can. It's got NAS built into it as well, so you can stick in 120 gigabyte or 128 gigabyte, or even just you can take an actual hard drive and plug it in via the USB as well, and share the contents of that through NAS, through a media server, to your device. So you can really hack off the person beside you on the plane by getting out these three things. And
And you can't
streaming.
use Wi-Fi in flight, of course.
That's a fair. Well, you
Only if
can.
only if you get caught.
Yeah. You're all right. Sure, you can turn on Wi-Fi to access the hotspot on the plane anyway, because they
They've
have.
got one.
Yeah, some of them do. BA certainly don't. Or if they do, they charge you £2,500 to access for 14 megabytes.
I love flying JetBlue because JetBlue it's included.
JetBlue's just great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. I think I recall you spending an entire flight messaging me one day saying, "I've got Wi-Fi on a plane and it's free." And we went on for about 4 hours.
Yes, rubbing it in for the entire flight over to Florida.
3.5 hour flight.
Yeah, I still get a kick out of the in-flight announcement that says, "Can you please ensure that all word processing devices are switched off on British Airways flights?" You're like, who's using a word processing device? And you expect to see someone with an Amstrad in front of them.
I look around someone for a typewriter. Oh, damn it.
With their black and white screen.
I'm so tempted on a train at some point. You know where you've got the train there with the seats facing the table.
Yeah.
Just wander up and say, "Is this seat taken?" When they say, "No, no, no." Say, "Don't mind if I get my computer out, do you?" And well, obviously they'll have to say no, and then get a desktop, plug it down, and get like a 27-inch monitor and plonk it down, and just like obscure everything and plug it into the sockets they've got, and just like work like it's normal.
Yeah, that was one of the ideas I had for a show where you have someone who attempts to survive through a day or a week with the technology from 1988 or 1997 or something, and you've got the old Motorola Dynatec or something, and you have to deal with that and try and make calls on that, and the battery lasts for 12 minutes, and you have to pay 55p per minute to access the satellite and things. You know, that would be class.
They were the
I'd do
days,
that.
though, weren't they? We miss them, though. We say we don't. We do.
Yeah, we do. I dug out my old laptop here from a good few years ago, and it's made by a company called Tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought this because it was so small.
And ultra thin. Yeah.
There's some irony to that now, the fact that it's called Tiny.
Yeah, and if you look, it had multimedia controls on the front with
Yeah.
a display that you could skip CD tracks, and then the PCMCIA slot there as well. You know, this was fully spec'd. You know, wow, I know you guys are drooling over that as well.
Serial 4. Oh.
Parallel port too as well. Yeah. Oh, such a quality piece of crap that was. £2,000 it cost when I first got it. No, it doesn't even turn on. Anyway, yeah, that's.
The battery's expanded, that's why it's so thick.
Oh no, it still works. It turns on. It's just the screen doesn't work. I can hook it up via VGA to another screen and see what's on it on the 20 gigabyte hard drive that's inside it.
Yeah, this is what I found the other day. You'll like this.
Microsoft Works.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, but this is version 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was famous for having updated icons for the paintbrush.
The distribution only with a new computer. I found it the other day, and I was like, I don't remember even ever seeing, or doing anything with Works.
that used to come free with all computers, though, didn't it? And then you think, oh, brilliant, I can be productive. Oh, no, I need to buy Office.
Oh man, this is the other thing that I found the other day, which was not that much of a blast back, but do you remember the Polaroid Pogo? I found the ink, the photo paper for it the other day. Can't find the printer.
Welcome to Retro Tech Addicts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that just cancelled the other day, didn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
Oh, we should bring that back. No, right, okay, so wearables, we're moving on into the 22nd century here now. Wearables, Huawei, they turned some heads, and honestly, my head was turned as well whenever I saw this, because these were some delicious devices that they hinted at and then they launched. They are gorgeous watch-based watches. They are called Huawei watches because they're based around actual watches. I mean, if you just have a look at the picture of them, they're sweet looking watches. They are Android Wear devices. They have 1.4-inch AMOLED displays with 286 ppi, a 1.2 gigahertz Qualcomm processor inside them with 4 gigabytes of storage and half a gig of RAM with a 300 milliamp hour battery, and 6-axis sensors for fitness tracking. They're compatible with, I think, all mobile phones at the moment. Was it? I read Windows as well as Android.
Oh, if it's running Android Wear, it's only going to be with
won't be.
Android at the moment, won't it?
Yeah,
Potentially,
maybe.
I'm sure I read something earlier that it may be opening up to other platforms, but I can't remember where I read that. It may have been a joke. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I didn't get too caught up with the specs because they're just gorgeous devices. If you have the internet near you right now,
Yeah.
go online and have a look at them because they are, quite frankly, the most beautiful smartwatches you will see.
Do look very nice. 300 milliamp hour battery concerns me. It's a bit smaller than the other alternatives. For example, your LG watch, I think, is 400. And how's
It
your
is
battery life?
3 days.
That's not bad.
I put that to the
But
test
think
because I
it's got a
went to
much
London
slower
last week for 3 days.
processor as well than these. That's got the 1.2 gigahertz, so it's got a higher processor, a smaller battery. Potential concern.
Yeah, but I think Android
They
Wear is
look
going to get
nice.
better and better. Anyways,
They look nice. The one that I'm most interested in will be coming up shortly, so I shall say they look nice, but not my favourite.
okay. Well, we'll move straight on to the one you're most interested in, the HTC Grip. Yeah, this is
How
a
did
piece
you
of
get
crap.
Did
No,
they
the
not learn from Samsung's mistake in this avenue? It's the wrong way round, people. Can't look at your wrist that way round. You have to look at your time like that. For people who can't see what I'm doing, it's the wrong way round. Don't look at a watch like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's I had
Samsung
a
made it better with their second up. They made a software update that fixed it, but this doesn't look like that can happen. It's too narrow.
no.
Sorry.
I got close up to this last week, and it's got a 100 milliamp hour battery inside it.
Excellent. Excellent.
If it has GPS built into it, and if you use GPS, that will last you for, and they're saying 5 hours, so realistically 3.
Too.
Yeah. It's a fitness. I'm not even going to say it's a smartwatch because it's not. It's a fitness tracker band thing that is very rubber. It's got anti-sweat technology inside it, and I think it's just HTC, but it's Under Armour, who are really big in America, I believe, but they've gone to them and said, what should we build? And Under Armour has maybe sort of gone, you could do this, we don't really care. And HTC's gone, right, well, we'll do that. Hey! And they've put this out to try and throw this into the American market. I was hoping for so much more. Whenever he pulled this out of his pocket, I thought, wow, this is going to be class. An HTC smartwatch.
It's what people have been waiting for, isn't it? HTC have got a smartwatch coming. It's what people have been waiting for. They've been thinking the style and the build of the HTC One series is going to lend itself beautifully to what they could come up with a watch, and then they deliver that.
Yeah, but it's just their toe in the market. I'm saying this is an HTC Flyer. If it doesn't do very well, I think they'll back off from wearables for a bit until they get some kind of big arm twist in the back, like Google walking up and saying, "We want you to build a Nexus smartwatch."
I can see what you're saying, but sometimes throwing your toe into the water can actually, from a PR point of view, it's not necessarily saying any publicity is good publicity. No, it's not. for people to turn around and go, what the hell have they done? Actually detracts from the brand that they've got elsewhere.
Well, if you have a look at the amount of smartwatches we're talking about over the next couple of headlines, smartwatches are so big. HTC would just be lost right now because everyone is putting out a smartwatch, even if they're not interested really in doing devices. Non-phone manufacturers are putting out smartwatches. I've got a funny feeling that NVIDIA are going to come forward and say, here's a smartwatch as well that allows you to play Quake on the go.
I think you're probably right, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll go back to the one I think that you were actually going to talk about, was the Pebble. That's the Time Steel, is it, that you're very excited about?
Actually, it's better than it. The last one, the Pebble Steel, I wasn't a fan of the styling of it. A lot of people felt that the styling of that was actually a retrograde step over the first one, which was actually quite nice. It's still using e-paper, so you've got brilliant battery life. Some of the updates recently are excellent to the software, so it does look not quite nice. Still e-paper, so you're never going to get quite the nice screens you get with some of the others, and it's not necessarily going to look like an analog watch. But there we are. Yeah, it's quite a nice one.
All right, okay. Matt, you're going to shoot off in a minute because you have to go to bed. It's bedtime.
It's past my bedtime.
Is there anything you really want to throw in just before you leave about any of the headlines? Or
No, just really that there's a couple of things that are coming up, not MWC related, but I'm really interested to see what happens with the new MacBook Air, which has been mentioned quite a lot and talked about, but obviously Apple themselves are very tight-lipped. However, we've seen some devices that have actually leaked already that are accessories for the MacBook Air, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So looking forward to seeing that, and the Apple Watch indeed itself, which again is probably not too far away. So I'm pretty keen to look at that. And
nice.
Such an Apple fanboy that I've turned into these days. So yeah, keen to look at it.
Okay, all right. Well, that's one positive thing, and well, the iWatch is obviously looming. I kind of figured we might see someone wearing one at some stage. They've got to be out testing them.
I'm sure. They have been spotted in the wild, haven't they? There's a few people that have posted pictures online of presumably Apple employees wandering around with them.
We've seen what they're going to look like. It's the operation of them we've yet to see. So that's how it works, and what it can do for you is the important side, and we're going to find out more about that on the 9th, I think. So, and perhaps the MacBook Air, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, you can go, and sweet dreams.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Good night. Nice to see you again.
Good night, one and all. See you next week.
Don't forget your hot milk. Yes. Good night. Next week. Well, I'll tell them about that later. You don't need to worry about it. Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Oh, thank God he's gone.
Oh, we can say what we want now.
Yeah, he smelled a bit tonight, didn't he? He was a bit whiffy on it. He was, yeah. I think he was just trying to work out that problem that he had with the internet browser and why it wouldn't let him visit those websites.
Yeah. Next item?
Next item is one that HTC did not reveal to me whenever I was with them last week. It was the HTC, I've forgotten how to pronounce it, Vive, yeah. Yeah. So this is to join the ranks of the Samsung VR and the Oculus Rift. This is a virtual reality headset that you put on your head, and it allows you to immerse yourself fully in a game. And they have linked up with Valve, the makers of Half-Life and Portal, to put together this Steam VR technology. It sounds incredibly exciting, and it was one thing that I did not expect to see coming from HTC. It's bonkers that's, I could possibly imagine it from Samsung, very much from Nvidia or Asus or God, even Toshiba or something like that. But not HTC. I wouldn't have picked them out of a
No.
very big selection of people to pick from. What are your thoughts on this? Are you excited about this? Are you a gamer even?
I don't fully understand the need or desire to have a VR headset. From my own.
You don't have Elite Dangerous then. I see. Okay.
No, I'm a casual gamer, so I play the majority of my games using my iPhone when I'm on the bus, because I can pause it and get off the bus, go into work or go to a site, go to a meeting, whatever, come out, play a bit more game while I'm on the bus or on the tube. I'd look a prize idiot putting one of those helmets on, frankly. So
more so of a prize idiot.
More, yes, quite right for correcting me there. More of a prize idiot than I already do. Although, to be fair, Sony have also shown one today, I think, or this week, and that's awful. They're Sony glasses, they're terrible. So it can't look as bad as them. Yeah, not for me. Don't understand the need, personally.
Okay, well, let's look at it from a slightly different point of view, because I very much believe that these things are going to become very popular. Not very quickly, I'll give you that, but you are wearing in-ear headphones. You're seeing people more and more often wearing these on the bus and the train. And the whole idea of wearing cans is a bit retro and perhaps a little bit bonkers, especially in public, whenever there's little noise-cancelling headphones that you can put in that are almost invisible to the eye, aside from the cord hanging down. But people still are happy enough to wear something as big as bulky as these. And we accept them perfectly. Sticking a VR on your face... Hang on, I'll just flick over to that. Do that again. Is that your hairband?
No, that's Bluetooth headset phones, but you can turn them into a Geordie LaForge from Star Trek The Next Generation quite nicely. And that's what you'd look like wearing these immersive glasses.
There's going to be a time that is acceptable. And given that the wealth of companies that are now pushing this, it has to succeed. It's got to.
I'm gonna give a potential use case for these now. How shall I put it? The book 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know if you've read any of it, but it wasn't particularly well written. Isn't considered actually one of the better books of its genre. What happened though is its release coincided with the Kindle becoming popular, and because it was a book of a saucy nature that people wouldn't read, they bought it on their Kindle, which made the Kindle more popular. People said, "Oh, everybody's reading that. Let's put that on my Kindle," and it snowballed. So perhaps there's a certain genre of film or game for which this type of headset could make it socially acceptable to watch that sort of film or game in a public setting where you potentially couldn't currently.
So what you're saying is bad movies.
Exactly.
Things starring Eric Roberts and Rutger Hauer.
That sort of thing, yeah. If you like Disney movies and you're an adult, for example, or that sort of thing, or if you're watching the latest episode of Better Call Saul and the person next to you don't want them to be able to see it, so there you go. Because they're an episode behind on Netflix, for example.
Yeah, okay, alright, I get your meaning here. I do know that the Samsung does have certain dubious content available for the users, and as a result I'm desperate to get a Samsung VR to experience this, to see what the fuss is about, and obviously to write a thought-provoking article for the website about it, of course, yes. But obviously the success of certain formats doesn't necessarily rely on pornography, but
Actually,
people...
a lot of that going backwards, a lot of the success of certain formats was based upon what was available on it. for example.
Be careful where you tread here, because you can't say VHS over Betamax, and you can't say Blu-ray over HD DVD, because that is not true. That is an urban legend.
But some of it, there were certain things it was easier to, say, record pornography onto certain formats, and those formats were more successful in the mainstream.
Well, absolutely, because a VHS back in the day cost something like £1 to make, whereas a Betamax cost £15 or something, or £10. And Betamax only lasted for 16 minutes, whereas VHS could get up to, well, even using long play, it was about 6 hours you could get on there. So it was the more viable option. But a lot of people say pornography went for VHS, so it became more popular. It became more popular because people could record an entire feature film off TV, as opposed to having to use 2 tapes. It wasn't anything to do with porn. And there's a similar argument for Blu-ray and HD DVD. I don't necessarily think that adult entertainment will help technology push its way into the mainstream. It will just take advantage of whatever is popular at the time.
Yeah, I quite agree, and I'm not trying to say that this is only for certain things, but it would. I don't want to steer it down that route, but I'm not really seeing. I don't really understand the VR headset thing, to be honest, and I do see that to be a use case that people can use potentially to watch different. Actually, what I see is this is a good way of starting to be slightly isolationist. So you and your partner, if you want to watch different films, could sit there in the lounge on the sofa with your own headset on, watching different things, not talking to each other.
Brilliant. Don't interrupt the movie.
Yeah. It still wouldn't stop her interrupting me when Top Gear's on, but that's how things go.
It's the same thing as this, okay? I picked this up the other day because I'm trying this Elite Dangerous thing. This is a flight stick and throttle jobby thing, right? Okay, so that for the game Elite Dangerous is almost a necessity to help enjoy the game more, so you should have one of those.
Absolutely, yeah.
Having a look at the interface of the game, because it's Oculus Rift compatible, you suddenly realize that you can look around and you can look up out of the ship.
Brilliant.
So that's where VR is going to establish itself in the gaming world. And if it lends itself to movies, then all the better. With IMAX and things like that could work quite well. But for current media that's out there, obviously it's not filmed in 360 or in panoramic. Excuse me. So it's the gaming world that's going to have to take this technology to the next level. HTC have partnered with Valve, which shows that ingenuity. Samsung have gone ahead and pushed one out there with Oculus Rift compatibility, but they haven't actually aligned with a game manufacturer to start producing content. HTC have very cleverly done that, and that's why I think that this thing might actually succeed. The Samsung VR is one that people are going, oh yeah, it's cheap enough to have a go and have a play with it and see how it works. But I don't think it's got any long-term lastability right now. The same as Sony, and Sony seem to be pushing more along the lines of augmented reality with their, what was it called, smart glasses.
Smart glasses.
Yeah, that's not
smart
the
lens.
Same thing. This is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the augmented reality is more where I'd like to see it going. I can see again the chance for information overload, and also potential at that point for I can see them being banned in a lot of instances, because there's a chance to, I don't know, use them for nefarious purposes. You could look something up while you're talking to someone. There's potential for issues there. So.
Oh, I never thought of that. That's a brilliant idea. You could be sitting in a pub quiz with all the answers in front of you and appear to be a genius.
Yes.
Whereas at the moment, people have to look at their phone and go, oh, yeah.
Hang on. Okay, Google. Oops, everything's just gone off in here now. Oh.
Right, so you're going to get people who don't wear glasses going, oh, we're entering a pub quiz. Hold on a second. I just need to put my smart man glasses on.
Yeah.
Hello. Right. Okay. Well, yes, HTC, good work, but didn't see it
Innovative.
coming at all,
Innovative.
and it was a nice surprise, and I'm quite excited about it as long as it's competitively priced.
Mm.
And well, you've got Valve in it, who's a games company that is worth paying attention to. See if they do Half-Life 3 on this thing. Ooh, that's better than porn. Well, no, it's better than porn. Okay, so next up we have the LG Watch Urbane LTE, which is their first, well, I suppose 4G
Oh.
smartwatch. Takes a SIM card, works a bit like the Samsung Galaxy.
Well, works a bit like the LG Watch R and the LG Watch Urbane non-LTE. So it's a Samsung Galaxy. What is it?
What was
Galaxy
it called?
Gear S Plus LTE 4G
Yeah,
1.3 inch screen. Yeah.
that one they announced at the same time as the Note 4.
Yeah.
That big one.
Actually, this is more the way I'd like to see smartwatches going. There's something on Kickstarter at the moment very similar to this. You've got the watch, that's your smartphone. It does everything you could want of a smartphone, but to actually use it, this is the way I'd like to see smartwatches going. You've then got a dumb terminal, pairs with your watch, gives you the screen to access it. That's how I think a smartwatch should be working. You should actually have a smartwatch that is your device, with a input and interaction device that's separate. So if you go out to the pub at night, you don't need everything. You leave your screen at home. You've got your main unit. You can make a phone call. You can look like Dick Tracy making a call if that's your thing. That's the way I'd like to see it going. I quite like the look of the LG Watch Urbane. It looks like a watch, functions like a watch. Doesn't run Android Wear. It runs Tizen. I want to say Tizen. There first. No, something else.
No, it's not Tizen. It actually looks a wee bit like WebOS, if anything, from the
I think
circles.
it's something else, isn't it? But it interacts with other devices. It, to me, looks nice. Like it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying about the likes of the dumb terminal idea, but that never kicked off. I think Asus were the only ones that tried it when you go from tablet to phone.
Yeah.
Their pad phone, was it, or the phone? No,
Yeah.
the pad phone.
Pad phone. Yeah, one of them.
They really tried to get that to work, and in my head that's a brilliant idea. It charges your phone. If you could have a tablet that is just battery and screen, nothing else inside it. Lots of battery. It'll charge your phone while it's inside, and your phone will power the
That's
tablet.
a good idea, but actually, it's not. It's not. You've still got to carry that big thing around with you. So what we're talking about here is actually your brains are your device, is your watch. So that's on your wrist. That's your brain. It doesn't need to be plugged into anything. So you've got that on. You then either take your second screen with you or don't. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, but then this thing doesn't stay connected to that
But-
all the time.
Yeah,
And
but you
that's a
don't
pain.
need to, because this is your watch is then your intelligent part. So you don't need it to stay connected. You can do any interaction you want, and it's a lot easier than to keep this connected up. For example, my watch doesn't do as much as yours and stays connected because it doesn't need to do as much. It's just a very simple Bluetooth 4 LE connection. And
Yeah, that's a fair
my
point.
notifications, gives me my Facebook with posts.
Yeah, that is a fair point. Yeah.
They had it's all down to software interaction. G-Shock have had a problem until very recently that their app, for some reason, didn't work with the iPhone 6 or 6 Plus. It would just drop connections. I don't know why it was limited to iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. They've now fixed it, but I mean, to have that going on for 6 months was silly. But never mind. I like the watch Urbane. I don't think there's any prices for it yet, is there? That's
No, I don't think there is. I was even reading through Engadget, and they didn't actually mention what it is running. They do mention Tizen, but
it's like vaporware again until it comes out. It's not out.
it is a bit odd that that companies are moving away from the obvious choice of Android Wear, despite the fact they're making them. No, it does. It says Urban LTE runs on WebOS.
There we go.
I thought it was WebOS. Those wee circles.
Yeah, LG bought it, didn't they? LG bought WebOS, and you're going to use it in TVs.
No, Alcatel bought WebOS.
I think Alcatel. No, WebOS was purchased by LG originally, so they bought it, and then they've sold part of it off to Alcatel, or they've sold a license to it to Alcatel. I think, maybe. Possibly.
Okay.
Maybe. Anyway.
Well, it's owned
WebOS.
by someone.
WebOS. I had a Palm Pixie Plus, and I liked that operating system. It was nice.
That is one of the finest operating systems that has ever graced the earth.
I liked it. It was nice.
Apple have taken an awful lot of cues from it.
A great number. Swiping away cards. The cards full stop. Lovely. Looks like that would be something. Well, it's actually Google have copied it. Let's be honest with the their watches, the Android Wear watches. They use the card metaphor as well. Is metaphor the correct word? Yeah, I suppose so. Like it. Yeah, got the idea.
Yeah, it's fun watching this platform find its footing, and there's no you can take a risk at the moment and buy something like I bought the Samsung Galaxy, no, not Samsung Galaxy, the smartwatch, the first one they put out that I can't even remember what it's called.
The original thing.
The Galaxy Gear. That's
Galaxy Gear.
I bought that first one, and then 4 months later, they had the Gear 2 or another Gear, and they'd moved from whatever it ran, Android, to Tizen.
Yeah.
But it's still, that was my first smartwatch. So no, it's not actually. I had a Sony before that. The first Sony smartwatch. Yeah, that was a piece of crap. But the Samsung one was genuinely good, and now I'm on to this, and this is genuinely good. I just wish this had the build quality of that Galaxy Gear, but then this would have cost the same as the Galaxy Gear, whereas this only costs 90 quid or something, and I think it's indispensable now.
I mean, the problem with the Galaxy Gear was it only worked with Samsung phones, and that is limiting because some of us don't like Samsung phones. The Android Wear watch is very nice, but they only work with Android devices. And as much as you're an Android user, as much as you hate to say it, there are other options that are quite popular, like iPhone, and you can't limit yourself. So I think potentially if this LG watch Urbane will connect to other things, which it may well do, might not, Sony can be seen as a positive. That's one of the positives of the Pebble. Can work with both.
Yeah. But I still do harbour a secret desire that WebOS, now it's in televisions and watches. Yes, that's right. There was it the Lamborghini watch or the Ferrari watch or Audi or something they released quite recently. It had WebOS on it. It had this interface, but it was some exclusive sold with a car.
Oh, I don't know. Not sure.
Anyway, yes, okay. WebOS on a watch by LG, compatible with Android. Hopefully that's the future. And then eventually WebOS will work its way back onto a phone. Palm will resurrect itself and destroy Apple. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't update my App Store in my Palm Pre before the deadline, so I know that I can never use my Palm Pre again. Very sad.
Yeah, I did. I have the Pre 1, 2, 3 and the Pixie. There only was one Pixie. I don't have a Veer. If anyone out there has a Veer, I would like to buy it from you. That'll complete my collection.
Did they ever actually sell them? Didn't they?
Yeah. They pop up on eBay every now and again, but very, very rarely, and they go for a lot of money. But I'd love a Veer. I didn't say that out loud, actually. They don't go for a lot of money. They're worth nothing.
They're cheap, nasty things.
Yeah, just send it to me. I'll PM me and I'll give you my address.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, another Leap, the Acer Liquid Leap, which is actually a device I saw last year. They announced it. Well, I went to New York actually for an Acer gig, and they had one there at the same time as the Jade smartphone, which is at Mobile World Congress as well. This is a dust and water resistant device that tracks steps, distance, calories, and sleep. It's got the 1-inch OLED touchscreen display, and it points the right way. And it... No, it doesn't. Sorry, that's right. It points the wrong way. It works with Android, iOS, and Windows devices via apps. And
It's good to see they've gone for the big market by going for Windows as well on it.
Yes, yeah, there's a bit of a diverse selection there. But it cost $90, and it was all right. It was actually quite a nice looking device. They had various colors available, and they put a bit of effort into making it a wee bit more durable. I don't think it's fully water resistant. Oh no, it does. It is. It's water resistant. Yeah, okay. So it's something that you can wear in all walks of life, and it'll help.
Do you know what? That as a fitness band, not got a problem with it at all. £90. It's $90, so it's almost, if you are a fitness orientated person, as we should all be, there's a lot to be said for that. That's potential help. So I've got nothing against that at all. Okay, the screens run the wrong way, but you can't have everything.
My only concern about this is that I saw it 6 months ago. I don't know why it's taken this long for them to actually release it, and it was in full working state 6 months ago. They were deciding on the colours to release it in.
Have they though? In the United Kingdom, let's say, they haven't had perhaps the most well-known brand, but I think they're starting to get there now. You see Acers in stores, Tesco's. I think I saw one. So you're starting to see these less-known brands popping up. So is there a point in marketing a product if you haven't kind of got even a small following? So get your market ready, and
the problem
ready for these things.
The problem I have with Acer at the moment is that their lack of support for devices is painful. I have an Acer S200. It's the big 6-inch phone, and it was £500 when it first came out, running Android 4.2. Still running 4.2. There was no update to it, but they still wanted people to buy this big screen device with nice specs inside it, I'll give you that, and a 4K camera on the back of it. But they just did nothing with it after they released it. They made 1 million of them. They sold probably 1 million of them, and that was it. Move on to the next thing. They're gone.
Yeah, you see this with some of the larger manufacturers, let's say. I mean, Sony with their Z series, they released Lollipop. What was before Lollipop? Kit Kat for their older devices before they did their flagship stuff. Weird, odd.
Yeah. I was starting to get a bit panicky whenever Lollipop was not arriving on my Nexus 10, and I started seeing that there's the possibility that the LG G3 could get it before I got it on the Nexus 10, and I was starting to get a bit annoyed. But I think I got it the day before the LG G3.
Yeah, the LG. I mean, they announced it was going to come out within a week, didn't they? First thing, and I think it did in India, and that was it. Anyway, there we are.
Yeah. All right, so the last thing we have to talk about tonight is not quite mobile technology, but very much nailed down technology, is the wireless charging in IKEA furniture. They've gone for QI, wireless charging, that type of term.
Qi, like Qi or Key, they call it, don't they? Yeah.
Okay. They're going with that, and they're going to start releasing it in furniture in April. They've released a few stock shots of bedside tables, lamps, and floor tiles that have it built into it. So this is great. This is wireless charging almost becoming not a standard yet, but a step toward it. Great.
do like the idea of floor tiles. Because I can imagine that when I was younger, come home from the pub on a Saturday night, pass out on the floor with the phone in hand, onto the tile, just arrange it so you fall in the front door and pass out. Perfect.
But you can't help but think there's going to be a few accidents there. Where's your phone?
Someone
It's
else
over
comes in
there on the floor.
and it flies off across the room. Yeah, I can see floor tiles is ridiculous. But desks, brilliant idea. Excellent. I've got my phone sitting on the desk now. If that had a built-in wireless, well, if Apple had wireless charging, it would be great. Yeah, brilliant idea. I love wireless charging. It's one of the biggest downfalls of the iPhone, and I keep meaning to order one of those little cards put inside the case for it, so it would work. Brilliant technology. All for it. Well done, IKEA, to that one.
Yeah. And we'll just use the opportunity to go back and revisit that wonderful company that was known as Palm and remember how they put it into the Pre.
The one that was mounted on it with magnets, so you could actually hold it, clipped into the right place. It was just wonderful. Yeah.
That wee doohickey there.
The touchstone. What a brilliant idea.
A broken hockey puck.
Yeah.
With a USB on the back there, and you just set it on there and magnetic, and away you go.
You could stick it to a car dashboard, at a slightly sticky base, and then you could have your phone there doing navigation on the, 1-inch screen. Ah, excellent.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
It was old, but it was
worked.
beautiful.
It was fun. In many ways, back then, the developments in phones was so much more fun and interesting. Something came out and it was actually genuinely groundbreaking. Whereas, I hate to say it, much of what has been announced like this week and what we've talked about tonight is, oh yeah, another one.
Yeah.
I really want to see something groundbreaking, and to me, there's a few things there. As you said, the VR headset, not for me, but yeah, interesting. LG Urbane watch, I like the idea of that. There's some other things on there, and some of the things we talked about. I mean, even the Alcatel phones, I quite like the idea of them, but the major players, they need to step it up.
No. I'm going to go back to Samsung Galaxy and say that they've exceeded themselves this year with their steps in battery. They've included both types of wireless charging. They are squeezing 4 hours out of 10 minutes of charge on power saving settings, of course, but they've gone the extra mile. It would have just been a standard upgrade. Well, obviously the processor is leaps and bounds ahead of last year's, but it would have been a very standard upgrade had it not had those big battery considerations taken into account, and they've delivered a good package.
I'm taking points off for Samsung for the fact that they are hypocrites. They have said for years, these are the things you can't do, it's ridiculous, Apple are stupid, that's the only bit of their technologies we aren't copying. Let's be honest. The only thing they didn't do was seal the battery, and so now they've sealed the battery, and what, they're going to go back and say, yeah, we were lying. Okay, we were wrong.
Well, I did hear them say that they were only going to be sealing the battery if they got it right, and they believe that they've got a strong enough case now that they have got it right. Of course, that remains to be seen, but I've got this, and that back cover has not been off since I've got the phone.
Yeah, I mean, I never changed the batteries in my G3 either, and that wasn't particularly great on battery, but it's one of the hazards of having the 4K screen. If you use it, battery life's horrific. Hopefully the new processor is better for it. But for me, it's been an iterative MWC. I haven't really been wowed by anything hugely. Yeah. Not been wowed. Apart from that Microsoft keyboard, actually, that's my pick of the show. Something that functions with everything. A computer, a tablet, a phone. It's a wonderful idea.
Do you know how much it costs?
Go on.
Oh, no, I'm asking.
No.
I don't know how much it costs.
Availability has been announced.
Well, Microsoft are doing well with their keyboards. Like the Surface keyboard is very good. So it probably makes
And
sense that
actually,
they would.
the price that some of the Windows 8, not the RT version or the not real version, but some of the Windows 8 tablets, the prices you can get them for now for an 8-inch device, in a lot of ways, is there a reason to pick up an iPad where you can go and get one of them for £100, a keyboard, and you've actually got a full computer?
There was one that was released that really turned my head. The HP Spectre X360. It's pretty fantastic. It's $900, but it's got an i5 inside it, 4 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigabyte SSD. It's a 2-in-1 with a 56 WHR battery, which gives you 12.5 hours of battery life. It's lovely. It's bendable. It's called 360 because it goes the whole way round. It doesn't really. It should be really 180. But that's one thing that really turned my head. I like it, and it looks very much like a MacBook Pro, a very sleek, nice device. I fully recommend looking at that.
At the moment, my phone, I have
$100 for the Microsoft keyboard. Sorry,
$100. It's not bad. I'm finding the phones, like you said about when we were talking about the passport, walking in and just looking at another slab of a phone. There's only so much you can do with a 5.1, 5.5, 6-inch phone. They're all going to look pretty similar. It's just how many buttons you give it. 1, 2, 3, none. The software is what's going to differentiate. That's important. But actually, where computers are, going back to where mobile tech started with a laptop, actually some of the big movements are being done there. We were talking before the show. My office work have just given me a new laptop, 12 hours battery life out of a business computer. It's great, and it's thin, it's light. I can carry it in a little satchel type bag, a man bag or purse. It's nice, and actually the advances in technology there are actually what I'm recording on now. I don't know what the camera's like. Things are right to me.
It doesn't look too bad,
on a business computer, and actually I think that's where some of the advances that we're going to see are 2-in-1 computers, possibly moving away from the tablets back into a more potentially productive environment. I don't know, that's where my interests lie at the moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's absolutely it, and that's what I'd like to throw out to the folks that are watching and listening to this at home. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you think is really interesting about Mobile World Congress, and we'll read them out. We'll discuss your thoughts and your questions and things about things. Obviously, there's stuff at Mobile World Congress that we can't touch everything. We're touching on the biggest things or the most interesting things, like there was Intel's new mobile chips that were announced, and then Fujitsu had that iris scanner on a smartphone, which has the potential to be world changing the way we deal with things in our lives. And there's all kinds of other things, as we mentioned, the smart glass stuff and augmented reality, and that there was a thermal imaging dongle that you could plug into your iPhone or Android phone. Maybe it was actually. No, I think it was both, actually. And it gave you that kind of Predator-style look, and you could see the world. Thermal imaging in your pocket. That's fantastic. I think that's amazing. And there's this new hologram prototype as well. I remember seeing a few shots of that a wee while ago. That was something else as well, but obviously we can't cover everything, and we're going to have another conversation about obviously Mobile World Congress and some of the other things that have dripped out, and anything that's new and interesting next week. In fact, next week is going to be a bit of a change because we will have some new faces and some new voices, and we're going to try and really make a go of it this time around and bring the show back and give you the news that you want to hear. And interact with you more often than we have done before, because we don't really interact with you. We just insult you and make fun of you for listening to us. Because
mainly we insult Matt, though, to be fair.
Yeah. If you want to insult Matt, please drop us a line, and That could be a new feature of the show, is the Insult Matt section, where you can send us in things and we'll read them to him and see how he reacts. The first person to get him to cry will win something nice. An
I mean, I don't
battery.
mind if you would like to insult me, please do as well.
Okay. Don't insult me because I don't like that.
No.
Yeah. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can. We have a phone number, and you can email us at podcast@tracyandmatt.co.uk with your insults. You can phone us on 0208 123 3757. You can get me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. And of course, Matt is on Twitter too at Tracy and Matt, TRACY. I think he owns TRACEY and Matt as well. And of course, you're on Twitter too, aren't you, Phil?
I am. I'm not on there often, but I'm at LOW405.
Okay. I'll just add that in the show notes and you guys can wait while I do that. LOW405. I'll spell it correctly as well, that would help. Yeah. So, get in touch with us. Look forward to next week because we have some pretty sweet people coming on. Two people in particular that I'm very excited about talking to, if we can get it to work, things like that. So, take care and we'll speak to you next week.
I would just like to say get well to Dan because he's been in hospital recently, I think, and I'd like to say get well soon.
Absolutely, yes, I forgot about that as well, even though Dan's been messaging me there. He would have been here tonight, but he was a bit tired. So he will be here next Thursday, so you can all see the return of Dan and his new body style, because I believe he's lost a ton of weight as well. He's really chuffed. Yeah.
And actually, he did some excellent MWC coverage on Facebook. He was very passionate about the S6, so he agrees with you, less with me. So.
Well, that's because you're wrong.
Okay, I'll have to accept that soon.
Hey, so you're going to go out and buy one then in April? No. Brilliant. I look forward to seeing you on April 11th with all your thoughts. Okay, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.